Hello and welcome to Freedom Through Astrology, where we're giving you the keys. It's freedomthroughastrology.com. I'm your astrologer. My name is Donald Patak. There's my contact information, standard YouTube copyright. No, this content may not be used to train AI in any way, shape, manner, or form without appropriate compensation first. Keys to the reading, because I do read astrology differently. I read constellation-based astrology. Sometimes you'll hear it called true sidereal. It's astrology by astronomy or astrology by the visible sky. Tropical astrology fixed the signs to seasons almost 1,800 years ago-ish. Not only have the planets move, but the constellations also move very slowly. So where tropical astrology is telling you what the sky looked like in ancient Rome, I'm telling you where an astronomer sees the planets here, now, today. So it's going to be different in that respect. And secondly, using the visible sky, there are 13 signs in the zodiac belt. Between Scorpio and Sagittarius is another sign. It's called the fucus. The symbol is of a man holding a snake by the head and tail. And in ancient times, a snake symbolized knowledge. Uh, and the story is he, head to the tail, controlling knowledge. The fucus used it to heal himself. So ideally, he would heal others with similar wounds. So it's the sign of the wounded healer. And in using the visible sky, I also use the natural size of the constellations, Mother Nature, Divine Feminine, whatever. When this physical world was created and through and however, all the constellations were made, different signs. Okay, no, you do not step on Kit. My cat's like sitting on my lap. My apologies. However you believe this world was created, in their infinite wisdom, they made the constellations all different sizes. Virgo is huge at just under 50 degrees. Scorpio, Fucus, Libra, Cancer, Aries, each of them individually is less than 25. The constellations are all different sizes, giving different emphases in our lives. So I do follow that, and I use astrological midpoints. Athan Shimenti noted with the IAU boundaries, as he was zooming in on those boundaries to check things out, that the boundaries took the one that he was focused on actually was Scorpio and Fucus. He noticed that stars from Scorpio were over the boundary in a Fucus, and as he checked out other ones, he noticed similar problem. So what he did was he looked at the zodiac belt, last bright star of constellation A, first bright star of constellation B. What's the halfway point? I like it. I think it's a little bit more accurate, and it puts the stars in the appropriate constellations. Keys to the reading part 2, and this does a little bit more with interpretation. I read whether I interpret using evolutionary astrology, which says these transits are lessons to learn. And with evolutionary astrology, one of the key lessons is freedom of choice. There's an ideal outcome. Hey, this is the ideal lesson, but there's also a shadow. You can choose to do something else. So there's an ideal positive outcome and a negative, potential negative outcome. And I like to present those to you. Come on, get up here, Silky. This is your kitten commercial. This is Silky. He's a black, long hair, very soft. He's been sneezing a lot lately. Come on, buddy. So there's freedom of choice. You do have freedom of choice. And if you don't like the way things are going, choose differently. This is the weekly edition. So these are universal lessons for everyone. So do have a little compassion on your fellow Earth travelers. Dates and times are based on the Eastern U.S. time zone, as I do live outside of Buffalo, New York. I'm operating within 1 degree of exact. If I went more than that, I'd get overwhelmed. If I'm overwhelmed, you're potentially lost. So I like to keep it, within that 1 degree. It makes things manageable, and that's when you're going to feel the energies most intensely. And the software that I use is Capricorn by Prometheus. So this is our summary of the week for, gosh, why didn't that save? The 23rd through March 1st. I think that was one of my cat snafus. My apologies. My cats do things for me. They try to help out. They really think they're helping. So week of February 23rd through March 1st. Yes, February is almost over. Thank God. As short as this month is, it's been long personally. The sun is currently in Aquarius. The moon this week, it sounds busier than it is. It begins in Aries and ends in Leo, but early on Monday morning, that's today when I'm recording it, it transited into Taurus. So it's actually moved into Taurus. So it's really more of an Aries kind of Taurus into Leo. So the moon is active, but not as active as it's looking right now. And even with being in Taurus, Taurus is a nice long transit. So we really don't deal with the big changes until the end of the week. The first quarter moon is in Taurus on February 24th. Moon in Taurus squaring the sun in Aquarius, and I will talk about that. Our active planets, the more I looked on this, I realized that it's the inner planets. There's Sun, Mercury, Venus, and Mars, all for various reasons, are very busy this week. When I show you the graphic outlay, you'll understand this with what's going on. Our sign changes. We got 2 sign changes this week. Venus moves into Pisces and Mars moves into Aquarius. We do have 1 long transit going on. Saturn and Neptune are conjunct. And that'll be finishing up next week. So, and then finally, retrograde. We have Jupiter retrograde, and we're adding to that Mercury retrograde this week. Choice. So retrograde merely means it's a time of reflection and internal work. Come on. So you're going to have to settle down on that leg because Kit's got this one. Okay, come on. There you go, buddy. Sit down. Sit. Good. Mercury retrograde really means reflection. It's a time of reflection, also a time of internal work. So Jupiter, opportunity. Are you grabbing it? Mercury, and we'll talk about that. And here's our overview. Let me grab our doodle tool. And as you can see, just looking at this, busiest day of the week, Wednesday, and it cascades really through Friday with things beginning. So really the middle towards the end of the week will be very busy and most intense, and everything winds down nicely by Sunday. So our planetary transits really hitting us Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Yeah, you can read that how you want. Clear that out. But as you look at the moon, the moon is actually, like I said, fairly stable. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday into Thursday morning, it's in Taurus. So emotional peace and stability, which will be good, especially with Wednesday being that busy. A little emotional stability would be good. Thursday morning into Saturday morning in Gemini. Again, it's not as long a transit, but it's two signs. That's most of your week. So taking peace, emotional peace, and then being emotionally curious. And then Saturday, we spend Saturday, take a break, make sure you rest up with Cancer. And then Sunday jumps into Leo. And that sets us up for Leo into Virgo next week. So next week, the moon will be very stable. And we do have that first quarter moon on Tuesday. So there's your lunar. That's your kind of summary. And then for planets, like I said, there's the sun, Venus, again with that conjunction to Mercury plus the sign change, Mercury moving station retrograde, and then here's Mars plus its sign change. So like the inner planets are active, and that's your more social planets, is what you would call them. Sun, Mercury, Venus, Mars, those are more social planets. Oops, like this. Be a more active way that week. And we still have that nice long transit ending next week. So that's your week in a nutshell. You close this out. And from way back in the beginning of February, is the nice month-long transit, we have Saturn conjunct Neptune in Pisces. Simply put, Saturn is about growth, and Neptune in Pisces, Neptune plus Pisces, all this happening in Pisces. Neptune in Pisces is don't just do something, be there. Be present. So this is really about learning to be spiritual growth, learning spiritual presence, spiritual maturity. I think that's the best way to say that. In the ISAA, we had a great roundtable. You'll find that on YouTube from last Wednesday on the ISS YouTube page. I think they're on Rumble, and I can't remember what else they're on. But it was a great discussion, great roundtable from a wide variety of perspectives on how to interpret this. I'm going with spiritual maturity, learning spiritual self-discipline. Very important skill to learn. The shadow here. Saturn can fall into fear and cynicism, and Neptune in Pisces just wants to get away and escape, hide, numb the pain. So it can be spiritual that's falling into fear and spiritual laziness, whatever. I liken this to being more I hate to use the phrase this way, but strict religion or religious fundamentalism, one way, my way, or the highway routine. The other way of looking at it is, oops, sorry. The other way of looking at that, spiritual cynicism, atheism, agnosticism, doubting that there is like this other realm, just severe doubt. So that's your shadow. You're either growing or you're not. Mm-hmm. And we also have, no, this isn't supposed to be in there. Never mind. Wait a minute. That is supposed to be in there. 23rd. Yeah, 23rd was today. It's been a Monday. Mars in Capricorn sextiling Chiron, doing the work as Mars in Capricorn is having the courage to do the work, do the hard work, climb that mountain. Sextile creates an interest. Chiron in Pisces, deep healing, spiritual healing, releasing wounds as well. The shadow here is falling into fear and becoming a control freak, creates a sense of nervousness that can lead to deeper wounding of yourself or others. Or you're feeling so isolated and lonely that you're trying to numb or hide the pain away any way you can. Yep. There we go. It's been that way. And also finishing up on Monday, we have Venus in Aquarius, trining Jupiter retrograde in Gemini. Venus in Aquarius. Venus is relationships. It's also your creativity in Aquarius, learning to be independent and authentic. Are you learning to stand up for yourself in your relationships and be who you really are? Or are you learning to find your creative voice or your own creative vision in a certain way, in a way you could say it that way? So are you learning to be, instead of copying everybody else, coming up with your own way of doing things, you're finding your style and beginning to develop it. It all starts, with a start. So it's learning to be authentic in your relationships, in your creativity. Is a trine is a support. And in this case, it's trining Jupiter at retrograde in Gemini. Are you taking that opportunity to learn? So as you're taking these actions, what are you learning? Are you learning? Or are you just doing? So ideally, it's helping you to learn about who you are in your relationships and how you're acting. Also learning about others. Are you taking the time to learn about others? Are you letting them be independent? Are you letting them be authentic as well? Or are you learning to be creative and finding your own voice or your own style, etc.? The shadow here, Venus can be slick and manipulative. And in Aquarius, it's trying to fit in. It's selling itself out to fit in, or trying to control others to have them fit into their world, to your world. So be careful of that. But the trine here is missing the opportunity. If you're trying to control people and force them to be who they are not, or you're trying to be somebody that you are not, you're missing the opportunity to learn who you really are in your relationships and learn who other people are. You're missing that. And also, when you're dealing with creativity, instead of being authentic, you're being that copycat. We were actually talking about this today at school. You're using AI to create, you're typing the prompt into AI and calling that your own creation instead of recognizing what it is. Computer generated art that's based on other people's work and never developing your own abilities in that. Sunday, the moon enters into Aries, emotional courage, learning to stand up for yourself. Yeah, having the courage to move forward and face the challenges and possibly competitions. And what are you looking for, goofball? No. You can't step on Kit. Kit is not there to be stepped on. Do you want to go down? There we go. Finding emotional courage and willing to take risks and accept necessary challenges. The shadow here is falling into fear, and that can be cowardice, not willing to take action at all, falling into that, or violent and anger and acting out in anger. And either one of those. And Monday morning, the moon enters into Taurus. So looking for emotional peace and emotional stability and that strength that comes from finding inner calm and peace. And look for the opportunities to take breaks as they're needed. This is going to be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, into Thursday morning. So long stretch this week. Taurus is actually a relatively big sign. The shadow here is becoming stubborn, emotionally stuck. And this can have you feeling exhausted and drained. The other shadow of Taurus, I don't have this in my notes, but Taurus can be lazy. So just sitting there going for the easy way out. Taurus can also be the proverbial bull in a china shop. You know, someone who's a Taurus, and when they get angry, they get angry. Taurus, believe me. My students were actually talking about that today. You've never seen Patak angry. You do not want to see Patak angry. Taurus. Taurus sun. It's right there. But yeah, the other shadow is being that proverbial bull in a china shop and just blow up anger like fast. Ick. And on Tuesday, we have the first quarter moon. So you do have that Taurus moon. Finding that inner peace, inner calm, inner strength, etc., squaring, challenging, and a square. The purpose of a square is to challenge you to get better, to strengthen you. Think of lifting weights. If all you did was pick up 2.5 pound weights, you might get toned, but you're not going to build muscle. You have to pick up the 5, then 7.5 pounds, then 10, 12.5, 15, etc., and build up if you're going to get muscle. So this is an emotional challenge. And as you're learning to find that inner peace and calm, that is strengthening your sun in Aquarius, your ability to be your authentic self. And the key to understanding the sun in Aquarius, know what your natal sun is, and then you're becoming the authentic version of that Taurus. Because my authentic Taurus is not going to be a different, somebody else's authentic Taurus sun. We're going to have our own little ways of doing things. So there we go. The shadow here, instead of the square being something that strengthens you, it becomes a stumbling block or a crushing burden. So instead of finding that emotional inner calm and peace, you're being lazy or you're acting out in anger, and that creates a crushing burden. Instead of you becoming who you really are, you're selling yourself out to fit in someplace. Whether you're selling yourself out to fit into the suits, as I call them, to fit into a group of any kind, or you're acting out to get a reaction from people. And that becomes a crushing burden. Instead of you becoming who you are, become less of who you are. And Wednesday, this is where the energy of the week is going to pick up and get very intense. First of all, we got Mercury retrograde in Pisces. My glasses just popped out apart again. All right, I know how to fix that. Yeah, my bridge broke. Being held together with duct tape at the moment. if duct tape don't fix it, it's really broke. So Mercury moves station retrograde. Retrograde means it's a time of reflection. So Mercury and Pisces, spiritual learning. Paying attention to the spiritual realm, spiritual awareness. Are you paying attention? Are you learning to see and think about life from a higher perspective or a different perspective? Think about your abilities to communicate. Are you able to do that and understand things more clearly? And are you paying attention to the subtle hints that life offers? If not, you're getting into the shadows where you're getting lost in your own thoughts and mind. Your communication can come across as flighty and over the heads of others or under their feet in some cases. And are you just completely missing the world around you? You just figured out how to turn the water faucet on. I like my cats. I really do. That's probably what's kept me laughing the last couple of weeks, which I've really needed. So you're reflecting on what you're learning, your spirituality, you're being present, etc., or you're getting lost in flighty space cadet. We also have the sun conjunct the North Node in Aquarius. And anytime the sun is conjunct the North Node, it'll be opposite the South Node. But we're talking about this part right here. So the sun, your core identity, conjunct your North Node, your life's purpose in Aquarius. So you're learning about who you are and your life's purpose, and you're learning to make them authentic and to be authentic. And the key here, know what your sun sign is and what that means, and then apply that, and then know where your North Node is, and know what your purpose of your North Node is, and then how do you make that authentic? So this is making your life, making yourself, and focusing on yourself and your life's lesson, your life's real purpose, and making it authentic and true to you. The shadow here, again, the sun is falling into the false ego, the false self, trying to be someone that you are not. And instead of fulfilling your North Node, your destiny, or your purpose, you're selling it out to other people. And you're letting other people define you and define your life's purpose. Quite honestly, you lose everything. And, whoops, I got to clear, close, and then Venus enters Pisces, and Venus is about relationships. It's about creativity. It can also be about taking a rest, but I like to focus more on the relationships and creativity. If that's speaking to me a little bit more about this transit. But about your relationships, and in Pisces, being able to transcend and take them to a higher level, higher purpose, understand the relationships from a different perspective or a higher perspective. And also, what are other people helping you to learn about spirituality and your own spirituality? Or what are you learning about creativity from other people as well? Or how are you finding inspiration in your creativity? You know, I always, not that I'm a Picasso fan, honestly, I'm not. I actually prefer Marc Chagall, but Picasso is actually a better example because he had his different periods of art where he painted or started out semi-normal, then he went into his colored periods, and then he got into that cubism phase and all that other stuff. So you can see him growing and becoming more of, those changes, and finding that inspiration to do those changes and to do things. That's kind of that creative inspiration coming through. The shadow here is falling into daydreams about your relationships or having fantasy relationships. There's that that person that you got that crush on, and you're daydreaming about being in a relationship with them, but it's existing only in your fantasies and way not in reality. So daydreams about the relationships, if they connect, or having shallow and meaningless relationships, or if they exist at all. Venus can also be very slick and manipulative, so trying to control people, thinking that you can, you ain't. And again, fantasy about your being creativity. A stick figure is a stick figure. You're not developing your art, you're copying other people, and no, it's not real. And also on Wednesday, Mars enters Aquarius. Mars, learning courage and assertiveness in Aquarius, courage and assertiveness to be authentic and true to yourself. And learning, having the courage to be more independent and standing up for yourself. And accepting that sometimes there may be some conflict or challenges. This is normal and it's okay. Let it happen. Um, it can be meaningful if done in an honest and assertive manner. And the difference between assertive and aggressive, assertive leaves the other person feeling, they understand you, but they feel respected. Aggressive, which is the shadow, which is you person bullying or being bullied to sell out their image to other people. Mars in the shadow is fear. So that's anger, that's acting out, pushing yourself on other people, or it's cowardice, selling out yourself to fit in with others. Thursday, the moon enters Gemini, emotionally curious. You had a little break with moon in Taurus, taking a break, breather, finding that peace and stability. And now you're ready to be a little curious, get up, go out and explore. And find and look into your interests and curiosities and look for opportunities to learn and update your information and ideas. The shadow here is becoming distracted and unfocused, and this can leave you feeling mentally exhausted. Also on Thursday, we have Mars in Aquarius squaring Uranus in Taurus. So having the courage to be independent and authentic, square strengthening your ability to. Uranus in Taurus is finding the piece to be, or literally, this is kind of feeding itself as you learn to stand up and be who you are. How is that strengthening your ability to be more authentic and find the peace of being who you are? So, yeah, that's strengthening your ability to be more of an individual and finding the peace that comes from being true to yourself. When you're true to yourself, you find that inner peace, and this can be strengthen you. And what you're learning, this square here, they call it a waning square. You're releasing what's not true to you, and as you release that, you find the peace so you can become who you really are. The shadow here is falling into fear, being fake, whether it's acting out or selling out, becomes a crushing burden. And instead of finding that peace and calm as you're selling out, you're being fake. It's just looking for the easy way out, or you're acting out and being a real jerk. And in that situation, you're losing your identity instead of finding it. And Friday, we have the other half of this equation. We talked about the Sun conjunct the North Node, and Friday we have the other half of the equation. So the Sun conjunct the North Node is you learn to be authentic and find your authentic vision and purpose in life. And reflect on the South Node in Leo. How do you hold yourself back with pointless and meaningless drama? And this is a reflection to me. This isn't something that we would balance. Oppositions can be balanced. In this case, I'm taking this to be reflection. We want to reflect on how we've held ourselves back from being who we really are and our authentic mission in life through the pointless drama and acting out and what have you, and acting up and out. So as you become aware of that, it helps you to release it. The shadow here, as you're becoming fake, you get that all that pointless drama of the past just comes right back with a boomerang and a vengeance. And this becomes the power struggle. This is the past happening all over again in a different way. And it throws you out of balance. It throws your life out of balance. And it creates unnecessary drama that holds you down and back. Oops. And let's clear the doodlings. Friday, we also have Mercury retrograde conjunct Venus in Pisces. Conjunction joining the two together make it very easy to see in the sky if you're into astronomy, because they will be really close to each other. Yeah, just above the horizon, as a matter of fact. I digress. What are you learning about your relationships? How are you communicating in relationships? So you're reflecting. This is a little bit of reflection on your what you're learning, how you're communicating, and what you're learning about others, and how you behave and how you're acting in relationships. I would say, and you're able. Are you seeing these things from this higher level or from different perspectives? Are you paying attention to what other people are sharing with you? The shadow here, Mercury, unfocused, distracted, being slick and manipulative. You're trying to use are you trying to use your words to control? Are you trying to use communication to try to control people, manipulate people, etc.? And if you're doing that, you're living in a fantasy about your connections, and it can lead to a meaningless and empty social life. It can also have you distracted from your relationships. You're not paying attention to the people, and you're missing what they have to offer, or you're denying other people what you have to offer them in the relationship. And those relationships come shallow, superficial, meaningless, and empty. Saturday, we have the moon entering Cancer. It's Saturday. Take a break. You need an emotional break. Make sure you take time to calm down and nurture yourself. It's a time for a little emotional healing. It's also time to protect yourself. Pull back, pull away. Crabs all have they have shells. They pull themselves back. They hide away. If you feel a need to hide away and pull away on Saturday, do it. It's good for you. It'll be a moment of healing, a moment of emotional healing. We do need our time alone. Be open to healers. If someone wants to help out and you're open to it, let them. The shadow is becoming defensive or attacking and defensive and attacking others, or trying to hide away from those who really could help you. And this can lead to greater stress, feelings of defensiveness, and it's just a bad thing. And on Sunday, the moon enters Leo. After that Saturday arrest, now you're ready to come out of the shell, stand up, be seen, and be appreciated. Learning how to express yourself so that others can see you and appreciate you for who you are and what you have to offer. So standing is that learn how to stand up and express yourself appropriately to other people. The shadow here is playing to the crowd. We're trying to hide away. Either you're wanting to be seen by everybody. You're standing on the stand, and you've got a bullhorn into the microphone through the PA system. I don't want to hear that feedback. And kind of forcing people to see you and hear you, or you're trying to hide away, not being seen at all. And either which way, it comes across as pointless and meaningless drama. And that's where our week ends on Sunday. So thank you very much for following me or paying attention this far. Do follow me on Facebook and Instagram. I am on there. If you're watching this, it's on YouTube. But really should get this on other channels. But I'm on Facebook and Instagram. I'm also on the Digital Soul Space. These three make a lot of money from your data, and you're not getting much, if any, of it at all. Digital Soul Space, there's a free version, a paid version. I call it the spiritual safe space on the internet. I do astrology, but there's tarot, crystals, a wide variety of spiritual practices, oracle decks, you name it, it's on there. And it's a place where it's a troll-free zone. I tell people that troll-free zone. We have 4 great moderators. If they see something that's inappropriate, they pull it. They contact the person, have a chat, give them a warning. People have been booted, unfortunately, because they didn't want to follow by the rules. But it's the spiritual safe space of the internet, and it's where you can ask the questions, find the answers. People will share what they know. It's just a great place to be. There is the free version, which gets you limited access. There's the paid version, which gets you full access. It's really an incredible place to be. I do offer readings in packages. If you want to see how your chart changes from tropical to true sidereal, order the quick 6 key points off of your chart. In evolutionary astrology, your birth chart or your natal chart is your birth contract. It's not who you are. You're stuck in this rut. It's who you came to be. It's your own personal curriculum for for the person you came to be at the end of your life. I also offer what's called a karmic reading or past life reading. If you believe in one and done, this is a special lesson you came to learn. However, if you believe you have past lives, you're repeating a lesson from a past life that caused trauma. I can tell you what the trauma was, how it was created, give you a nice story to remember it by, and then how you heal it. And then I also do horoscopes, 1 year, any 12 months in a row, any 3 months in a row, or any 1 month. And it can be first of the month to the last of the month, or new moon to new moon, however you want it. And this is transiting to transiting and transiting to natal. So it's your own personalized horoscope. And then I do packages that combine these at different levels. They scale them together, and they have a 10% discount. I think it is built right in. So if you buy a package, you're actually getting more readings, but at a lower price than if you bought them individually. Thank you. Do like, follow, share. If you're on my website, sign up for the newsletter. All I need is an email address, and once a week you get first shot at all this information. Services is where you would order the readings. If you're ordering a package, that's on another part of the page. It's been a day. It's been a long month for me. Thank you to everyone who sent me messages of condolences about the loss of my student. Passed away in a very tragic accident. Thank you very much. I do appreciate it. It did make it easier to get through the situation. So thank you very much. Like, follow, share, sign up for the newsletter. And remember, in the visible sky, your life changes ideally for the best. Have the best week possible. Thank you very much.